Hi everyone, welcome to JMC Jams, episode 8 of season 3. It's really moving along now, and today what we are going to do is have a chat with our Update News students, the student crew, I guess like the executive crew, could we call you?
Yeah.
We've got Angela and we've got Sophie who are going to talk to us about Update News. What do you do in there? What kind of careers can you aim for? And also, we're going to have some exciting news that Angela's going to tell us towards the end, but we'll keep that a mystery until then. So, yeah, today we're talking broadcast. So, welcome you guys, and thank you for coming in. It really is appreciated. You know, these episodes are kind of, they're taking on a life of its own, which is really nice. And I'm guessing you listen or you watch, maybe. Yeah, we've had a bunch of different people on this semester, you know, from the different programs and visitors and what have you. I just wanted to refocus and welcome you in to see what it is that you do on Update. So, what is Update News and what do you do, Sophie?
Okay, yeah, well, thanks for having us, John. So for me personally, I'm the script editor of the class. So it's the three of us. Angela's our executive. I'm the script editor. We have Sean as our video editor. And what I mostly do is at the beginning of the semester, I kind of teach students the basics of script writing for broadcast because I think a lot of students in the department know how to write for traditional style newspapers, but the switch to broadcast is so different. The style is completely different. So we go over the basics, how to write. I usually do like demonstrations for them. And then once we get into the full swing of our show, my main job is to, you know, help them edit their scripts. So I'll get sent all of the scripts on Tuesdays, have them done by like Wednesday afternoon, do a few different rounds of edits. And then also just as a executive in general, like our duty is basically just to help them out when story ideas fall through. And, you know, also help with critiques and stuff like that we do on Wednesdays so that our students can improve.
Well, it's kind of involved. I mean, it's really interesting though that you mentioned the switch to a different form of writing. I mean, that seems to be like sort of the key, really, I guess, to journalism, right?
Yeah.
Is writing for different platforms and different audiences and different media. Is that something that you guys do on Update News? Do you kind of like, do you do the print writing, and then you kind of like adapt that to broadcast, or is there a different way around it?
I think at the beginning of the semester, it's mostly kind of about unlearning some of the like traditional style of like AP and like news writing. Not that we don't follow AP style, but it's not exactly like that. You know, script writing for broadcast is a lot more visual, just because of the fact that you incorporate those videos and things like that, moving images. Like you really have to write to the ear. We always talk about touching the photo or touching the video, and that basically is like a term in broadcast, just meaning that when we see something on the screen, we want it to match with our script, right? Because it's so much more visually compelling and interesting to watch for a viewer to see, like, to hear the track and it matches with the video. So we talk to our students about that and then just kind of get them away from like long, wordy writing because that is an issue, especially at the beginning of the semester, since we're having to cram all of this into a minute 30 because our packages are only a minute 30. So it's basically about balancing that like writing to the ear and, you know, visual aspect with the writing for broadcast, and then also like the time crunch. Like we only have a minute 30, so we have to get all that information condensed, still accurate and still representing the whole story, but then also, you know, make it interesting, dynamic.
Yeah. So I guess you ad lib quite a bit, do you as well?
Yeah.
Do you go off script? Does one tell you off?
I think for when you're anchoring, sometimes you can kind of go off script. Like when we're anchoring, we do our like anchor banters and things like that. We try and make those unscripted so it's more natural because you can kind of tell when somebody's reading off of a teleprompter, and we understand that at the beginning of the semester it's like a crutch for a lot of students, but as they go on, we want it to be more natural. Yeah.
That's super interesting, actually. It's very similar in a way to advertising copywriting, which is more it's done in a natural voice. It's conversational. You know, it moves away from those traditional academic forms of writing that you kind of become accustomed to. I know it switches up in print journalism as well, you know, but there's more of a formality there, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And Angela, what is it that you do?
So for this semester, I am the executive producer. So that basically means I oversee everything that almost a regular professor would do for a class. The only difference is the professor has the final say. He's in the know about everything, but me and my two amazing executives who have been with me for over 3 semesters, we are the longest running students right now who are still active students for this department. We get to oversee student production, and like Sophie said, she is in charge of basically our scripts. We also have another executive person. Their name is Sean. They're in charge of the video production. For me, really what this means is I oversee everything else. So whatever Sophie is unable to do because of, let's say, her own private time, she's unable to do because it goes over a certain time limit, I'll be the one who steps up and kind of picks up all these other things that are not able to be turned in on time per se. And that's one of the most vital things about this class, really. It's about time. We're always on a time crunch. And very similar to writing in the way where you have to hit maybe a certain amount of words. Like Sophie said, we only have 1:30 per video, which we call packages in this class. And with that comes technical writing, which Sophie handles. Video production, you have to think about, well, how many shots do I need? You know, you have to really think about it before you get back to your desk and you really get to your computer and you're like, okay, I want to do all these edits, but do I have enough videos, which we call B-roll? Do you have enough B-roll? Do you have enough interviewees? All these things you have to think about to really create the skeleton of a draft or the skeleton of a video. And for me, I really, in a way, because I've been in this class long enough with the 3 of them, I kind of have a feel for it to know what these standards are in order to break it. That way I kind of basically maneuver the students in a way where I'm telling them here are the foundation of how you make a package, but also know when to get off those crutches, as Sophie would say, and really have your own element of, oh, well, is this a stylistic choice or should I follow it because this is what the format has always been like? So I'm kind of the one giving a little bit more opinion based on my own personal experience of the class.
Right, and that's really important actually, because you've mentioned that you've been together for 3 semesters. So it's kind of, you're like a cohort, yeah, in Update?
Yeah.
So it's not something that we often see really within our different courses. You know, you come in, you follow your plan. Sometimes you'll see somebody in course A, but you won't ever see them again, maybe until the very end. But with this kind of cohort approach, what do you think that helps with? Do you think it creates community? Do you bond? Does it make for a better workplace?
So I don't think you would know this or anyone outside of Sophie and Sean, but the little secret is I actually never considered broadcast journalism. I didn't know San Jose even offered it. I actually had a previous advisor who she retired actually, and she offered, hey, we have a class in broadcast, try it out. If you don't like it, you can always drop it. And so I joined, and at first it was a whirlwind because I didn't know anything. I only knew print. And like most people who I believe start going to broadcast, they always start in the traditional sense of print writing, you know, like long form writings, article writings. And I had no skill, honestly, outside of maybe using my phone to record on like social media. But even then, very limited experience with what Premiere Pro was, all these editing tools, how to record your voice, what these niche words were, such as like VO, B-roll, like what does this all mean, you know? And this class is one of those where you learn everything at once, and it can be a lot. It can feel very demanding, but you can only feel very demanding if you let yourself learn a lot. Now, if you don't care for the class, that's a different issue because every class itself has different expectations. If you feel that this class has a lot of expectations, it's because you care. And that's the reason why I felt like I had almost a sense of duty to uphold, even if at first I knew that I was so behind on my skills and whatever criteria it might be. Yeah, so to answer that question, basically having that experience of being here for 3 semesters, the one thing that actually made me come back after the first semester was the community. Update News is quite a small class. Usually per semester we don't have a lot of students because of the amount of production that needs to go into it. We are a student-run media group, so all students do production behind the scenes in front of cameras, and with that comes a lot of time. You use up your weekends for it. It's not just one of those where you can do quickly and you can finish. You're working around people's time. And with that, it can get exhausting. But what really helps is to really have a family outside of your family. And to me, that's what Update has always been. You know, I've had Sophie, I have Sean. We had previous now graduates who have been part of the class who weren't even broadcast journalism students. But the retention rate for 2 semesters were consistently the same because the same people came back. We basically had 90 to 95% of the same students come back and keep the enrollment up, which is amazing because the reason why they came back was because of the friendships they had. And it wasn't purely just out of interest for the field, which I think, unfortunately, a lot of classes don't have anymore, that sense of peer-to-peer connection, because everyone, you know, ironically is on their phone, which is what this major is about, being on your phone, being on TV. But you get to almost feel how other people feel when you're working on the same schedule, and that's what makes this class, you know, really exciting if you stick with it.
Yeah, I think going to the community aspect of it is, I mean, I have a different story than Angela. I knew that I didn't want to go into traditional news. I didn't want newspapers. I've always been somebody who likes being in front of the camera and talking and things like that. So I knew that broadcast was definitely for me, but I had no experience in it as well, like Angela said. And I started off pretty scared my first class because I was like, wow, this is a very demanding class, which it is. But I think because it's so demanding, it's one of the most rewarding classes I've ever taken. And that's exactly why I'm here for my 3rd semester, and I'll be back next semester as the executive once Angela graduates. And I've done a lot of different things on campus. I'm still currently part of our radio station as well, 90.5 KSJS. And I feel like I was looking to see like what kind of community I fit into on campus, because sometimes, like Angela said, classes can be, especially big classes, lecture classes, it's very hard to find like a community in that. But I think I found my community and Update through working with people who are so passionate about what they do, and seeing every week the show that we produce, even with small mistakes, learning curve, things like that. It's always so rewarding on Thursdays when the video's uploaded and I can watch it and I can see my work out there. I can see the work of my students and of everybody. It just makes me feel extremely happy. And yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I love this idea of you guys building a community that, like, you drop off because you graduate and you'll go into the industry, but then other people are stepping up into the role and it's continuing, right? So you keep on. That community is growing, and it's it must pay dividends, you know, once you graduate, and you kind of you help each other out still in that way, right? And I know that like so one's been given us lots of the last few minute gestures and everything, but there's so much I want to cover though, so we'll probably run over a little bit. It doesn't matter. But I just wanted to know also, Lessa, before we talk about the surprise, I wanted to Lessa to end with. In terms of, it's interesting that you Lessa, you're involved with the radio as well, and you've got Lessa. We're talking about broadcast, right? Which ultimately is what Update is. We're not just talking about TV, are we? We're talking about like sort of
different
all the different media as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, like my journey with radio has been like more of a hobby, not necessarily something I considered a career. I think definitely I know broadcast is where I want to go, and I think this class is one of the only classes really that helps prepare you for a world outside of school and what the real job market is, because we do exactly the same things that real MMJs do. You know, we film our own videos, we do lives, we anchor our own shows, we write our own scripts, we edit our own videos using Premiere Pro, and we use things that people out in the field are really doing. And so that's why I've loved this class so much. And I know that it's really solidified that I want to do broadcast, and also it's kind of helped me find my niche and what I want to do. Yeah. Because personally, I want to do international broadcast and work overseas and things like that, and travel. So I think through that, through this class, I've kind of realized that, and being able to try different things.
Yeah, and I guess lots of the skills that you're building here, right? That they use across all of the different online platforms that we're all familiar with, right? Yeah. So from short form to long form, there's like a platform for you guys to actually be able to tell your stories through, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, with that, for my experience, it's also like, you know, like school is what you make of it. That's the classic cliche line. But the thing with that is this class is one of those where we don't just bring guest speakers in just for them to talk about themselves. It's for them to give back to potentially, you know, students who sat in the same seats they sat at one point. And a lot of our guest speakers that we bring in are people from the industry who are still in the industry or who just recently retired. So very fresh, very relevant to the class. And these people also help build connections for students to really network. And outside of the fact that, you know, we're in the heart of Silicon Valley, the tech industry is booming, but we're not necessarily tech in the way we're STEM, more so we're in the metaverse dimension, you know, like all these digital platforms, almost like the omniverse. This is what we're doing. But also people say news is dying. How do you keep it up? That's one of the hardest things to answer, really. So for us now, it's no longer just, are you good at editing and using a camera? How can you put this content onto other social media platforms to really get engagement? That's always the long-standing question. So for us now, the requirements, as me who's about to graduate, I have to build my own website portfolio. I have to have my own Instagram page, like a professional one. It's no longer just hand in a paper resume. You know, the times are changing, the generations are changing, the expectations are only going to get a lot higher, and the stakes are only going to get higher. So I think in a way, you know, with the new learning age, with these internships that are provided to us and all these things, these outlets, we really have to make the most of it. And I don't just mean use what you know from school, go outside of school, because this is a field-based learning class. Everything you learn, we can only teach so much. People can only teach you so much, but you learn the best and the most if you apply when you're not in school.
Yep.
And so that's the biggest lesson, honestly, I learned from this class.
Yeah, the dedication outside of the class is what really, really matters to advance your career.
Yeah, totally. And so on the back of that, you know, we're just going to sort of round things off. All of that paid off, didn't it? For you particularly, Angela? And there's still time for you because you've got some awards that you're going to be entering too. But tell us a little bit about your good news.
So my good news is that I have won the scholarship for the Fred Schneider, which is the North Cal Emmy Awards for our national television and production. Each region in California is split into different regions. I'm part of the North Cal, as we are for other universities here. And that award itself rings in not just quite deep pockets, but it's the most recognized award for undergraduate students, specifically in broadcast, who have the most potential for growth. The people behind these who are voting for the student packages, who apply, are all people within the industry. So think of, you know, your favorite NBC reporter, think of KPIX, think of ABC7, all these people who work in all these familiar sounding avenues of television that you turn on when you eat dinner, these voices you hear, those are the people that make up the backbone of who's grading and who's judging all these students who have so much potential. And I would say I'm very lucky to be able to, you know, be privileged to win this award. It takes a village, like Madison Wilbur would say. It takes a village. It's not something that can be done overnight. As much as it is, this is my own achievement, it is the cultivation of everyone who's helped me got this far. Really, it's not just people like Sophie, not just like you, John, or my professors, people in the industry, my family, and everyone else in between.
So it was an amazing achievement. And you had the award ceremony, I believe it was last week, right?
Yes, about a week or a week and a half ago, I believe it was on a Saturday. It was held in San Francisco, South San Francisco. Great little luncheon. I got to connect with a lot of people. Outside of this, I am interning with ABC7. So I saw my boss again, said hi, congrats, talked to other people from Univision, another affiliate of ABC. There was NBC people. Great way to make connections, but also really the point of even having that luncheon outside of celebrating myself and the other scholarship winners is really, are you going to start building bridges with others? Because this industry is competitive. There's only a certain demographic of people or amount of people that can be in the field because it's so tight. So if you want to get your foot in the door, you do it now.
So that's great, and this is what it's all about. I mean, you've won that. I believe Madison won last year as well. So we got, you're in good company there, and you're applying for the Hearst Awards as well, the competition.
We'll
so
see about that,
let's see. Hopefully, we'll have you back in, and you can bring your trophy in next time. So anyway, it's been great, you guys, and I could talk all day on these things, as you know. But we do have limited time. One needs his lunch. That's why he's been waving, I guess. And so do I, too. So anyway, but it's been great having you guys here, and really good to hear about about Update News and how much it does offer our journalism students, and not just journalism, because you may want to enter without necessarily being a journalism major.
We have
right?
lots of people who aren't journalism majors entering the class. So thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and a reminder to sign up for Journalism 140A in the fall semester. In the spring semester. Spring 2025. No, 2026. 2026.
Yay.
Yes, enroll.
Or
yes, please.
just take a peek in on our shows on Thursdays if you're ever on campus. Let someone know, and then you can pop in and watch.
And they're on the YouTube channel as well as on Create TV.
Instagram, we have a Twitter going, so you name it, we're on there.
SJSU Update News on YouTube.
Exactly. And it's always growing. We've not talked about meteorology, we've not talked about the sports stuff, but it's a really exciting course to kind of to take and really add to your whole journalism skill base, I guess. So, well, thank you, everybody. We do have to go, and next week we're going to be talking to members of the Ad Club and finding out what it is that they're doing in terms of mentorship with high school kids in order to make our advertising industry known to students who are going to be thinking about college. So, again, thank you, Angela. Thank you, Sophie. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.